Streamline your property business and get back your valuable time, mastering techniques, systems and processes. So whether you're starting out in property or you're a seasoned veteran, here are some of the processes, techniques and systems that I've put in place in my property and my property business that have literally made my life a whole lot easier, and I'm hoping it's going to make your life easier as well. And this is without giving away too much control. It's been tried and tested in my business. So in this video, I'm going to show you a couple of the techniques that I've put in place in my property business. And some of these techniques I've found that it's really optimized my property business. So let's get into it. In this overview video, we're going to be going through and discussing some of the systems that I've put in place for growth, systems that I've put in place for sourcing properties, for viewing properties, for going through the actual buying process, some of the things that I've put in place for the actual maintenance and repair side, some of the things that I've put in place for the actual running of the projects if I'm actually doing a full refurb, other things that I've put in place for the actual rental process and for the maintenance and repairs processes. And there's also a little sneaky bonus point as well, which I'm going to touch on towards the end. So make sure you watch the full video because this point is probably going to be the most important thing of all. And guys, I'm thinking of making this an actual series. So it'll be a optimizing your, property investing business series, for example. So I'm going to make this into a playlist. So I'm going to go into more details on each and every one of those topics in more videos in the future, but just property business in the comments below if that sounds like something you'd be interested in. And guys, be sure to subscribe to the channel so that you can see the rest of the videos that are going to be in this series. And by the way, guys, my name's Sabrina and I am literally documenting my whole entire property journey here on this channel. So you'll see my ups and my downs, all of my mistakes, just so that you don't have to make them as well. So be sure to subscribe to see more. First up, you're going to really need to have a system in place for growth of your business. And this is going to actually be your property journey plan. And again, I've done more videos on this, on finding and focusing and trying to get your property plan developed so that you can then develop a business plan or an overall brief and just have focus as to where you're going. Those videos are already on here on the channel as well, so I'll leave those linked below. So you're going to want to have a really robust system in place for growth. So you're going to want to be looking at your overall property journey, your 5-year sort of long-term plan, your 2 to 3 year medium plan, and your 12-month short-term plan, so that you can actually see yourself growing and track your progress and actually hold yourself accountable, so that you can reach all of your SMART goals, and then also just make sure that you've got focus on your property journey. So then once you've actually done all of that and you've got that property plan in place, you're going to want a system in place for actually building your wealth and building your property portfolio. So after you've sort of looked through and you found a growth strategy plan, you can then actually have in place a property avatar or your property criteria that's going to allow you to actually meet those goals. So you know exactly what type of property you are buying, what yield or ROI you want to get out of each property, so that you're going to actually hit all of those goals, all of those SMART goals, and actually get somewhere on your property journey and get from where you are at the minute and where you're planning to be. And from this, you can then plan out your vision and your culture for your overall business as well. And when you've got your vision and the culture for your business, that is going to reinforce everything. And that's just going to make sure that you are buying with purpose and that you are sticking, and then therefore you're going to stick to your goals a whole lot more because you've actually got a plan in place and you know where you're going and you know what you need to do and what you need to have or what you need to be purchasing in order to fulfill those goals. So it really is going to help you filter out all of the crap and just make sure that you're focusing on going after properties are going to meet your goals, and it's just going to help you move forwards. So once you've actually got a system in place for vetting your properties, you then need to have a really robust system in place for actually viewing your properties and make sure that you've got a plan and a system in place for that. Again, I've got a few videos on this channel as well, just discussing how I plan and structure my viewings in the first place, how I look from sourcing my properties all the way to actually viewing the properties, and I know in what order I'm going to be viewing the properties. And again, we have a downloadable project plan that is linked down below in the description box, and that has actually got a bit on it so that you can actually figure out what ROI you actually need or what you're going to be getting. So it's going to help you put in place ways to source properties as well. Once you've got your system in place for actually viewing your properties, so that you know you've got everything all sorted out, so you know what properties you're going to be viewing, you're actually viewing with purpose. So for example, if you've got a day side for viewings, you've made sure that that's a full maximised and optimised day of full viewings that you can see. As I said, I've got videos on here as well to show exactly what I'm looking for when I'm actually viewing a property, how I actually view, where I'm taking my photos, everything like that, so that then I can take that away later and then make an informed decision on whether I'm going to offer or not, or how much I am going to offer, and just things like that. As I said, the template that I do have online as well, there's also a page on that for a scope of work, so you can pop in estimations for, whilst you're on the viewing, you can actually note down things like maybe it needs a new roof, it needs maybe new windows, maybe inside, it needs a bit of work, and you can list out the bits that you think, or the work that you think that it needs to be done, and it will spit out a cost for you at the end as well. So that will then inform, if you are going to be putting an offer in, it might rule out a property from that. Maybe there's too much work to be done and it rules out the property for you, or maybe you want to go on to the next stage of actually thinking about purchasing the property. It will actually help you to make an informed decision on your offer, the figure that you're going to offer for the property based on everything else. Like, you've got an estimate of how much you think it's going to cost to do the property. Again, on this project plan, you can also list out a couple of risk register items that you think that are quite high risk. For example, the roof to me would be a high risk, or if it's got subsidence, that's a high risk. It just allows you to highlight that issue, and if you want to, you can also sort of phone up a builder if you've not brought one along to the viewing with you, and just show them the photos that you've taken, if you have taken photos, and then maybe they can sort of give you a rough steer or advice on how much the estimate cost would be, and you can sort of put that in there, and that'll be separate to your contingency. You then are going to be building up information so that you can make an informed decision based on the information or the estimate that you have. Bonus as well, if you do this enough times and you save all this information, you almost build up a library of estimates, or a library of costs, or a library of things to look for, or a library of risk register items to look for when you're actually viewing properties. So it's going to then feed back into your processes. It's going to speed up what the things that you're looking for on viewings, for example, where the meter box is, where the electric box is, all stuff like this. The consumer unit, is it been updated? Will it need a rewire? All things like that are going to be faster for you once you build up this information, because you're almost going to have like a library of things to refer back to later on. So then it also feeds back into you having a process for actually purchasing. So if you are anything like myself, if you're purchasing in a company name, there's a lot of paperwork that you need to have anyway, but there's even more so when you're purchasing in a company. For example, you'll need this anyway. You'll need your certified ID, certified form of a proof of address, things like that. And if you've got that on hand, or you're thinking ahead, or you know that you need certain bits of paperwork and documents, you can actually get those ready so that quick and easy, they're there to hand. If you're making a quick offer, you've got that straight away to send and back up with the estate agent as soon as they ask you. So it just speeds things up and speeds up the process. Because if you are based in the UK, you do know that purchasing a house, it does take quite a while. There's a long, lengthy process to go through, a lot of hoops to jump. One of them is, like I said, for example, it's getting your ID in, getting your proof of funds in, and things like that. So if you've got all of that ready, it's just one less thing that you have to think about, and it's one thing that's ticked off their list that's already done, and it just speeds up the whole process for you. So again, then you need to have a process. For example, if you are buying a project or a refurb project, for example, then you've got a process with dealing with that. And again, we've touched on this earlier. If you have already done a scope of works, and again, this almost feeds back into your buying as well, because most of the time, the process that I've gone through would be a bridge to loan or a bridge to let, and as part of that, the lending company would also want to see a list of the works that you're going to be doing, and they might describe that as a scope of works or a schedule of works. So if you've already sort of almost done that, but in rough form before, for example, when we discussed earlier, when you were going through and you've gone and viewed the property and you've listed a couple of things that you could see that need to be done, that's going to form the basis of your scope of works, and you can just expand on that. And once that's done, you've got that there to hand as well. So that's another process that you can tick off. And you'll also need a process, for example, if you are adding value by extending or reconfiguring the property in any way, where you'll need maybe planning permission or you'll need building control. If you've got an actual system in place to deal with that and to get you through that process, that is going to make life a whole lot easier for you as well. So basically, if you've got processes in place to deal with the actual refurb, so you're dealing with the cost, quality, and the program as well. So you've got like a list just roughly jotted down. Again, another tab on our project plan would be a place where you can sort of guesstimate a program for yourself as well. And again, some of the mortgage lenders will require this as well. So if you've already thought about it and you've actually put time aside and you've done one and you've actually got guesstimates for your time and stuff and made a decent program, you've got that there, and you can also send that to your lender. It just builds to your processes basically. And then also, if you have a really robust system in place for your renting, for the rental side of things, if you are doing the BRRR method and you get to the rent side, if you have your templates for your tenancy agreements, you have the government how to rent guide just there ready and waiting, you've done your inventory check or your conditions sort of survey or inventory report survey type template that's there, this is great for you as well. Obviously, if you're working with an estate agent, they might already have this in place for you, but if you've got your own processes in place and documents there, it's great to have that, so that's ready in there to hand. And a bonus as well, what I do is I have a home, it's almost like a home user guide, so it's what I call it is a tenant welcome pack. Just lists out sort of roles and responsibilities from them and my roles and responsibilities. It tells them how to report any repairs, how to deal with emergencies. I've also got almost like a red, amber, green sort of system for reporting any repairs that need to be done. And again, I'll do a more in-depth video on this in the future, but yeah, I have that home user guide, which I call the tenants welcome pack, which is there for the tenants. It gives them a bit more details on what to expect moving into the property. It gives them all the specialist plan in there. For example, that pack will have all of the maintenance and the user guides for any sort of, for example, radiators. I've got electric radiators that are in one of the properties, operating guides and things like that, so the tenant knows how to use the electric radiator, just stuff like that. So copies of that will be in that tenant pack, and it will just really make your life a whole lot easier because you're setting out the roles and responsibilities from each of you from the outset, and you're just starting off the tenancy on a good note. And also it just lets them know what they need to do in case there's an emergency, so you won't get calls if you are managing the property yourself. You won't get calls at 2 o'clock in the morning dealing with something that could have waited for the next day, and vice versa. For example, it's got where the water stop valve is located, so the tenant knows if there is a leak and there's a lot of water going everywhere, they can just go there, switch that off, and all the water will go off. So that would be an emergency to deal with, so it just lets them know what to do in that event. I've also got sort of spreadsheets that tell me when, for example, the gas safety certificate or when the electrical certificate or things like that, EPCs and all stuff like that. I've got a spreadsheet of those, when they were last done for all of my properties and when they will need to be done again, or everything like that. So all your maintenance checks and certs and certificates like that, and when the tenancy as well, when that started and when it's due for renewal, all of that's all documented, so that I've got that for auditing purposes and for my own purposes as well. And I also keep track of everything that I spend maintenance wise on each and every property. That's there for me as well. And so guys, that leads me to my bonus point, and that is to use social media to tell everybody what you are doing. And I think many of you already do this as well, so it's just great to connect with other like-minded people, join forums, Facebook groups, things like that, so that if you've got an issue, you can sort of type that in there and somebody's always there to help you, and that's on hand. And also just document your own journey. Have a dedicated socials for your business if you're going to start it up as a property business, or on your own sort of social media. And I use quite a lot of scheduling apps. They're really, really good to schedule all of my social media posts on. I use Metrical. That will just save me time, because then I'm doing one post and I'm scheduling that out to be posted at a certain time in the future on quite a few different handles as well. So it just allows you to manage your time so much better. You can sit and you can plan your content as well. You can plan it for months and months on end ahead as well if you want. For example, you can see what your Instagram feed will look like when you post certain things, so you can have a bit of a play, and you can have a day that's also dedicated to your social media, so that you can see how your landing grid for your Instagram, for example, how that looks in the future as well. So you can just schedule everything out using Metrical. And no, it's not sponsored, but it's just a app that I have used, and it's tried and tested, and I just love it, and it's user friendly, and it just saves me so much time. Again, I also use Canva. That again is really user friendly, and it's a great way for you to produce your own graphic design work. So you can use those from anything from covers on your reels all the way through to your banners, you know, your background pictures, everything like that on all of the rest of your social handles. And I'm sure most of you use it already. That again is a great tool for anyone that needs a bit of help with their graphic design. And again, I'll go into more detail on a dedicated video on this as well, because I think a couple of you guys have reached out to me with sort of social media / drawing / graphic design comments as well, privately or sort of on DMs and things. So yeah, I'll do a separate video and show you exactly what I do and how I schedule out all of my posts as well. So I don't have to be glued to my phone every 5 minutes, but it just schedules it out over all of my social media handles. It will also post automatically for me. So yeah, it's great, and it just saves you so much time. So this is how you're going to actually scale, and this is how I'm going to scale my investment property portfolio and scale your projects. And talking of projects, click on this playlist next and it'll show you a project that I've recently done from start to finish. Thanks guys, bye.